Walk me, please. Why? Wait, sir! I woke up to a sound that will haunt my dreams forever. The scream of dying metal. I ran outside, still in my nightgown, and the world was ending. Bulldozers, 3 of them, were tearing into the walls of my grandfather's home, the only home I'd ever known. My family's ancestral home, built by blood and sweat, was collapsing into dust. I fell to my knees, screaming, and the dust choked me. And in that moment of absolute despair, my safe harbor was there. My husband, Franklin, the undisputed real estate king of Lagos.
I've got you now. Everything will be all right.
He held me while I cried. He was my rock, promising me that we would rebuild, that we would find who did this, that his love would shield me. A week later, the dust had settled, but my heart was dead. Franklin was at a gala, accepting another award. I was home alone in our Lekki mansion, the air conditioning too cold. I was looking for our marriage certificate in his study. I found a file instead. It wasn't a foreclosure notice from the bank. It was an invoice. He ordered the demolition. He paid them, and then he held me while I watched my history die. Now, let's dive deep into the story. They call Franklin the architect of modern Lagos. It's a title he wears like a crown. When we married 5 years ago, I didn't see the ruthless tycoon. I saw a visionary. He came from nothing in Ajegune, and he was determined to build a dynasty. His ambition was intoxicating. I loved him with a fierce, quiet devotion. He was my safe harbor in this chaotic city. He was the one person who knew my deepest vulnerability, that my family home in Surulere was the only physical anchor I had left of my parents. It wasn't just a house, it was a sanctuary filled with memories of laughter, old high-life music, and safety. But real estate in Lagos is a beast that is never full. For 2 years, Franklin had been secretly drowning. A massive luxury development project, the Sapphire Towers, was bleeding cash due to an unexpected spike in material costs and a silent partner pulling out. He didn't tell me. He kept his stress hidden behind expensive whiskey and late nights at the office. He was too proud to admit he was failing. That pride was the crack in his foundation, and I was about to pour everything I had into it, not knowing I was feeding the monster that would devour me. We lived in a world of obscene luxury. Our Lekki home has 2 pools, a movie theater, staff that never seemed to sleep. But my heart was always simple. I worked as a head nurse at a public clinic, a job that kept me grounded. Franklin always teased me, saying my salary didn't cover his monthly shoe bill. What he didn't know was that I had spent years quietly saving. I was preparing to establish a free maternal health wing at the clinic. I had a hidden nest egg, 45 million naira, my life's work, my dream, my purpose. It was a secret I kept, waiting for the perfect moment to surprise him, to show him that I too was building something that mattered. The situation with the Sapphire Towers became critical. I started noticing things, suspicious calls he'd take on the balcony, a nervous tick in his left eye. One night, I saw him practically begging a bank manager on the phone. I knew I couldn't stand by. I loved him. My love was sacrificial. The next morning, I went to the bank. I withdrew every single kobo. I transferred 45 million naira directly into his business account. I didn't ask questions. I didn't ask for recognition. I wanted to be his silent savior, to prove that his safe harbor was real. I thought I was buying him time. I was buying his loyalty. A month after my sacrifice, the tides turned. His company, Fade Realty, magically announced a groundbreaking new partnership for a prime commercial lot in the heart of the city. He came home euphoric, singing my praises, calling me his lucky charm. I smiled, glowing with the secret knowledge that I had saved his dream. We went to dinner, he bought me jewelry I didn't want, and we made plans for the future. He talked about legacy. He talked about building structures that would stand for a century. The dramatic irony was a poison I couldn't taste yet. He was celebrating a resurrection that required my murder. While Franklin was rising, my ancestral home was being watched. My aunt, who still lived there, told me about men in suits with tape measures and cameras. They said they were doing a city survey. I called Franklin, worried. He laughed it off. "It's Lagos, Cynthia. Developers are always looking. Don't worry about it. I'll look into it." He lied. The men were his surveyor team, confirming the boundaries for his new project, a 6-story luxury mall. He knew that aunt would never sell. He knew I would never sell. The only way to get the land was to make it uninhabitable through a forced, fake structural failure and subsequent city-mandated emergency demolition. I was a ghost. I stopped speaking. I barely ate. I stayed in that cold Lekki mansion, but my spirit was in Surulere, haunting the pile of bricks that used to be my life. He would come home full of synthetic sympathy, trying to pull me out of my depression. He actually said, "It's just a house, Cynthia. We are together. That's what matters. I'll build you 100 houses." Every word was a lash on a raw wound. I was living with the murderer of my past, and he was sleeping soundly beside me. The moral dilemma was suffocating. Do I confront him and explode my life, or do I stay in luxury with the devil, safe but soulless? One day, he left his phone unlocked. A message from his engineer, Paul, popped up. "Foundations for more projects set. The hidden reinforcement you requested in Sector 3 is complete, ready for inspection." My nurse's intuition, sharp from years of spotting subtle symptoms, flared. Hidden reinforcement? In a standard mall project? Why hidden? Paul was a young, brilliant structural engineer who had been my patient. I knew he was brilliant, but I also knew he needed money. Franklin had bought his silence too, but a corner cutter always leaves evidence. We are at the point of no return. The choice Cynthia makes next is life or death, and it leads to a karmic explosion you won't see coming. But it's the justice we all need to see. Let's continue the story. The choice was finalized. I went to see Paul. He looked exhausted. I told him my husband had demolished my home. I told him about my 45 million. I told him he was helping a man who built his empire on the corpses of memories. He broke down. He gave me everything. He showed me the original soil analysis. He explained the faulty foundation trick. The site was too soft. Franklin's hidden reinforcement in Sector 3 was a cheap, unstable fix to save costs, designed to pass the quick inspect and pay phase, but guaranteed to cause catastrophic issues within 18 months. Paul had documented everything. The soil analysis, the signed orders from Franklin to ignore the report, the photos of the flawed structure. It was the complete, undeniable digital fingerprint of the crime. When I saw the data, a cold clarity washed over me. The emotional breakdown was over. I had spent 45 million to unknowingly help him buy the bulldozers. He had taken my money, killed my history, and now he was building a death trap to celebrate his genius. My justice had to be absolute. It had to be cathartic. It had to hurt. The timing had to be perfect. The state officials were scheduled for the official project sign-off and safety certificate presentation on a Friday. Franklin had invited the press. It was to be his finest hour. On Thursday morning, I didn't send the data to the press. That would be too quick. I sent the entire file from an anonymous encrypted email directly to the Lagos State Building Control Agency, LASBCA, marked urgent, public safety risk, flawed foundation at Sapphire Mall site. I knew their response time for credible public safety risks was less than 2 hours. This is the moment we've been waiting for. The fallout, the justice. How does it end for the king of Lagos real estate? Don't click away. The final moments are pure payoff. Friday arrived. Franklin was at the site in a crisp white shirt, cameras flashing, microphone in hand, standing right over Sector 3. Just as he began his speech about building a stronger Lagos, 3 state vehicles arrived. Officials walked onto the stage. One spoke directly into the microphone. Mr. Adebayo, we are in possession of data indicating a severe structural failure risk in the foundation of this project. Under Lagos state law, this site is hereby condemned. Full stop work order is active. A forensic team is already analyzing Sector 3. Your operating license is suspended pending a criminal inquiry. The silence that followed was louder than the bulldozers. The collapse was total. Paul testified in exchange for immunity. The 45 million I had lent him was traced as the payout for the faulty foundation materials. Banks called in their loans for all of Fede Realty's projects. The name Franklin Adebayo became synonymous with greed and dangerous incompetence. I sued for a divorce, asking for 0 settlement. I didn't want his blood money. All I asked for was the deed to the Surulere land. The judge, seeing the overwhelming evidence, granted it easily. My story of the sacrificial wife betrayed by her tycoon husband resonated across the city. He had nothing left but his ego, now exposed to the wind. He tried to come back. He cried at my door in Lekki, which I sold to pay for my new humble life. He said he did it for us, that I couldn't understand the pressure of building a dynasty. I just looked at him and said, "Dynasties are built on trust, Franklin, not on lies. You demolished my home, I only demolished your mask." He is living with his aunt in Ajegunle now, a man broken by his own ambition. The universal resonance of this story isn't about revenge, it's about the truth. Your safe harbor should be the one place you never have to be on guard. If the one who is supposed to protect you is the one who breaks you, then the foundation was already flawed. I lost my home, but I won my soul. And now I can finally start to rebuild on a foundation I know is real. So, I have to ask, was this true justice or did Franklin still win? He took her savings, he took her family home, and he forced her to become as ruthless as he was just to survive. Did she win the battle but lose the war for her own peace of mind? Or was bankrupting the only way to truly heal? Lagos is a city of layers, and today we peeled back a very ugly one. If you think Cynthia was a hero for burning it all down, drop your opinion in the comments. But if you think she should have just taken her 45 million and run for the hills before the demolition, tell us why. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're uncovering more stories of betrayal, power, and the high price of secrets in the city of Lagos. You won't want to miss the next one because sometimes the people closest to you are the ones holding the shovel. See you in the next one.